Hello and welcome to Casting Roles, a persistent D&D campaign played by a bunch of theater nerds. Thank you for joining us for the second episode of our short plane walking campaign, Terminus. If you're liking the show, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. You want to find us on social media. We're on Twitter at Casting Roles and on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Casting Roles ILM. Our videos are uploaded on our YouTube channel every Friday. And we have a placeholder for Jace's character, Glitch. Jace is currently in a production locally as we are theater people, and will hopefully be joining us later on in the campaign. But let's go ahead and start the show. Last time, as members of the agency that tackles corporate espionage and tries to break down monopolies, you were tasked with tackling Vecna's attempts to not only become a god, but also become a monopoly of a corporation within the city of Terminus, which may or may not be the worst of the two outcomes. You faced off against him, and in the process of interrupting his ritual, found yourself sucked into a rift that he had created between this plane of existence and the outer planes. You caught glimpses of your pasts, various different interactions that you'd had before that moment, and then found yourselves floating in the astral sea outside the city of Lux Aeterna, the kind of the central hub of the astral sea for all of the planes of existence. You made your way into the city of Lux Aeterna, the odd breaking of physics of the buildings and the Penrose triangle, the Escheresque. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. But the Penrose construction of some of the buildings. And you made your way to the Temple of Light at the center of Lux Aeternia, where you met with a android celestial archivist of the temple, who informed you that whatever magics had brought you to this plane had somehow broken the tether of yourselves with the material plane, and had thus left you untethered, drifting between the planes of existence at random times or random energies. And as you were interrogating this individual for more information, you were untethered from Lux Aeternia and found yourselves in a deep ocean of silvery water where you crested up onto the shore, and before you was a beautiful forested plain, a silvery beach, a tall mountain stretching endlessly up into the skies, a golden sunlight beaming down around you. And at the beach level, there were a collection of individuals in white robes, emaciated and pale, all gathered around what seems to be a market or a bazaar at the on the beach. So here floating,
not totally sus at all.
Not sus at all. So here floating out in the waters, agency members, what would you like to do?
Yeah, can I make another investigation roll, or just like perception, maybe, just to see if there's something I might have missed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll help.
I'll make an investigation.
Okay.
$22.
So the thing that kind of catches your notice immediately, the golden sunlight shining down is providing a warmth and an energy to you. If you had any damage, which you would feel like that was being healed in this space. The silvery looking beach, you can tell from even this distance, is glistening gemstones, probably crushed diamond. There is a beautiful garden right outside the sand of the beach. There's a gazebo. Coming off of the gazebo, there's a beautiful dock made of golden wood, and there's a silvery boat tied to the dock, lightly rising and falling. There's no waves in this pool, this ocean of water. It's just gently kind of lapping up onto the shore, but there's no cresting waves. And the most important thing that you notice is that these individuals have not caught wind of your arrival yet. But other than that, you don't see anything of any greater importance in the space.
You said there's a garden?
Yeah, like right off of the beach, there's kind of a garden. There's a gazebo. And then there's from the gazebo, kind of a walkway comes out over the beach and then stretches into a dock onto the water. And there's a boat on the water. But you guys are probably like 50 feet from the shore. You're having to tread water. You don't know how deep the water here is, but you're about 50 feet from the shore.
And towards the shore?
Yeah. I think it's
Okay. Are you traveling stealthily as best you can in the water, or are you just swimming ashore?
We're gonna swim ashore.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
yeah,
So you swim ashore.
It's crystal clear blue. It's crystal clear water, right? Like.
Oh yeah,
it
is. You can see through the water, and you cannot see the bottom of the water. You don't know how deep this is. You did just appear out of it, but it does seem to go down an immeasurable distance. But you can see all the way, and you can see where there's a shelf of land that rises up, kind of like the branches of this mountain stretching down into this water. And you can see that rising up, could be hundreds of feet below you, but kind of 20 feet offshore, it seems to come up very close and make a gentle shelf into the land. So you swim about 30 feet and then you're able to put your feet down.
I'm going to
If we're
try.
not, can I? Sorry, I'm just.
Go ahead.
If we're not concerned about stealth, I want to fly.
Okay, so you cast fly on yourself and you lift yourself out of the water.
Little
And
pixel.
the moment you clear the water, you're immediately dry.
Oh, that's nice.
I swim to try and put the dock between us and
The market. Okay.
people.
So you kind of swim off to the left. Does everyone else kind of go that direction along with Sarah?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So you guys all kind of skim around to the left-hand side, getting a closer look to the boat. As you get closer, it is currently empty. There's no one on board the boat. And on this side, you hit that shelf and you're able to walk up onto the beach, and the water immediately kind of sheds off of you and you are completely dry in the space. And the warm light from, it's not a sun, it's just a general atmosphere of warm light in this space, kind of immediately warms you, and you feel rested, relaxed, and rejuvenated as you make your way alongside the dock up onto land. And so now the dock, which is about 2 feet off of the beach, kind of you can look over it easily enough, and you can see the market beyond, where you see. Now you can probably tell that there's 12 or so of these white dressed individuals, and they are moving not as a horde, but quickly shifting from stall to stall. And you're noticing something, kind of this Ronan's investigation check carrying over. You're noticing in a moment that, like, as they are at one stall, one of them will suddenly like glow for a moment and their visage changes, but then it quickly shrinks and they emaciate back down, and then they move over to another stall and there's a quick flurry of something happening there, and then something else happens with one of them where they grow and they are diminishing and growing as they shift from stall to stall.
Can we try to like focus in and see exactly what they're doing when they go?
It's
to a new
difficult
stall
because
instead of
there's
brand
12
new?
of them that are kind of blocking your view at each of these stall spaces.
Are there people in the stalls?
Yeah, there are. They do not look like the individuals in the white outfits. They are, the best you could probably describe them as like traders, or like, if you've been to elements of areas of Terminus where there's like a desert environment where people kind of wear scarves that wrap around them and they're around their heads, hiding their features. They are smaller than the white clothed figures, and the items that they are selling seem to be glass orbs that are filled with some kind of light.
This isn't so.
Are they armed? Can we see from here?
It's difficult. You're probably about 100 feet away. It's difficult to tell if anybody's armed. Mhm.
I think our best bet is to make contact and
Yes,
figure out where we are.
let's be
I'm
diplomatic
gonna
about
use
this.
I'm gonna put my goggles down and activate them,
Okay.
which give me true sight out to a distance of 120 feet.
Okay.
See in normal and
Ooh.
magical darkness, see invisible creatures and objects, automatically detect visual illusions and succeed on saving throws against them, and perceive the original form of a shape changer or a creature that is transformed by magic, and can see into the ethereal plane.
Okay.
And this lasts for something like either 1 minute or 3 minutes.
Okay. So it's just the effects of true sight. Yeah. So you have, it doesn't change the way that any of these individuals look, except for the brokers within the stalls. They kind of just have the general appearance of humanoids wrapped in scarves. But the moment you kind of lower your vision on them, their visions completely changes, and they appear to be beasts of energy. Loosely humanoid shaped, but coursing with some kind of magical energy, as if they are beings themselves made out of the elements of magic. And the only other thing that you notice is the ethereal plane elements. There is a stream of like energy pouring over the ocean, and it seems to be sucked up into those bottles that they're selling. And those bottles are slowly filling up with the energy, and then they'll sell one, and then another bottle fills up and they sell that. But they seem to be pulling energy from beyond this ocean into this marketplace and selling it off to these individuals. But you also don't see them exchanging money, so you don't know if it's a barter system or what they're doing to sell.
I like the gang though. And
Most
it's 10
intriguing.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Looks
believe
like-
we should be diplomatic and make our way into the town. I don't
That's our
believe we
best
should.
bet here.
I don't believe we should mention Vecna, but I do feel our best course of action is just to be as honest as we can. That way, we don't have to lie as much as we need to.
As we go, I want to check out what is in the garden.
Okay.
Because these people are all emaciated. So
Yeah. So the
what are they
garden,
eating?
the garden next to you is, it seems to be purely decorative type plants. Gorgeous roses, hyacinths. There's wisteria hanging from vines and branches. But when you look at them closer, the roses are made out of rubies. The hyacinths are a collection of white and pink gemstones. The wisteria are purple amethysts hanging from emerald vines. Everything, this is a gem garden, not something that would be easy to ingest or eat.
You'd have to be very determined.
To say the least.
All right. But you're making your way over to the bazaar itself is a collection of about 7 tents that these brokers have set up right at the edge of the water line. You can imagine that maybe they like beached their boats that were probably just rafts, and these tents are constructed on top of the rafts, and they'll be able to break the rafts down and then just push them back out into sea when they're done. But there's about 7 tents and these 12 individuals shifting from tent to tent. You can approach the horde, you can approach one of the brokers. It's whichever way you want to go into that.
I'm going to approach one of the brokers first.
Okay. So you walk up to the first raft. The horde has kind of moved down. They're about 4 or 5 tents away from you. And this broker here is faced backwards and is rearranging bottles on the shelf. And the moment you approach, his body doesn't turn, his head does. And then the rest of his body shifts with him. And he kind of puts his hands up on the table, and you can tell that they have the appearance of flesh hands, but you can see them shifting and moving as if there's like an energy that is being formed into flesh for appearance here. And it kind of leans in. Oh. Well, you don't look like our typical customer base. Welcome to the Wandering Menagerie. My name doesn't probably translate into whatever language that you're speaking here. You can call me, Dos.
Well, very well met, Dos. What is it that you sell here? And you said this place was called the Wandering...
The Wandering Menagerie.
Menagerie.
Yes, we travel from plane to plane, providing needs that are no longer met for the denizens of each.
Interesting. So what are in these bottles, if you do not mind me asking?
He kind of whiffs a hand and one of the bottles flies into his hand and he sets it down. That one would be a hope. He flips another hand and lays it down. Fear. Flips another hand, lays it down. Dreams. And then he grabs one that's slowly filling from the tethers that Sarah can see and sets it down. Prayers. It's filling quite slowly, as you can see.
I will send a quick prayer to Hippocrates and see if it does anything to the bottle, if a tether comes from me.
Okay. So as you send the prayer to a philosopher of old, not a god, but, honoring an ancestor, you see, as the prayer leaves your mouth, this golden orb of energy flies out of your mouth and just floats in the air. It doesn't connect to a tether. It doesn't fall into the jar, but it's kind of just floating there for a moment. Kiv, with your heightened senses as a soldier, you immediately pick up on 3 of the members of the Horde, 4 Tense Town, look over and turn and start to make their way towards the 4 of you.
So what do you make of this?
Place my hand on
And
my
I see
crystal
this
brick
too.
sword.
Okay, you're getting ready, Kivili. So Dos goes, interesting. And do you mind?
If you give it back.
Oh, of course, we have not made a deal. And he grabs the orb, and the moment he grabs it, it becomes real for everyone else to see. And everyone else, you just see this pulsing golden light of Sarah G's prayer to the ancestor Hippocrates. And he holds it down for a moment. You are not of the outer plane at all, are you? This is pure essence. Not left over from the time before.
So I take it that's valuable?
Invaluable.
Wouldn't happen to have ennui by any chance, and
Ennui does not sell well here on this plane, so I tend to keep it in the back stock until we get somewhere where it's much more appreciated.
so your prices on it would be negotiable then.
Oh, perhaps. And he kind of waves a hand, and you see a chest at the back of the raft open, and a single vial flies out, and it's this grayish mist that kind of sparks every now and then, with like a spark, and then he sets it down on the table in front of you.
Ennui.
Ennui.
Is it alcoholic?
To the right individual, it's quite intoxicating. To one such as yourself, it can be somewhat debilitating.
Interesting.
How do you travel between the planes or know which one you're going to be on? Is there any kind of device you use?
It's quite, we sail out over the Silver Sea here, off of it, and into the astral, and we just see where the winds take us.
So you just go where the winds blow and you don't guide yourself? Like if the winds are blowing one way and you can go one way or slightly the same way but a different way, and you could arrive at someplace different, how do you know which one to go to?
Well, if you're very familiar with the astral sea, the winds there are the essence of magic itself. We have abilities to bend that to where we would like it to go.
So how do you know where you would like to go?
Depending on the stock that we're able to drum up. There are reservoirs left over from the time before. And if we're able to harvest enough of a certain type of energy, ennui for instance, then we would travel to an appropriate realm to offload it to its denizens, which you seem to have gathered a little bit of their attention. And Kiv, you've noticed that the 3 individuals who approached are not approaching in an aggressive manner, but they have stopped about 10 feet away, and they are staring at that orb of light in Dose's hand.
I'll kind of nudge Dose.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
We got some attention on our bartering here.
But I think they might want to barter with you. You've brought quite a valuable addition.
Do you have any like maps of the planes or books telling about which plane you might be on with information about it? So like if we were to go to a different plane, we might have an advantage of knowing where we were.
Is that something? Let's see. And he kind of goes and checks back into his things. And he takes out an orb, like a glass orb, and he tosses it to you. And when you catch it, you immediately kind of feel a warmth or energy coming off of it. And he says, the activation word for that one is Menulo.
I hand it to Ronan. How much do you want for it?
And the ennui.
Oh, for both? I will take the prayer.
What else were you throwing on top of that? Because as you said, it's from an original source and not the time before, so you have nothing else like this.
That's true.
Is there anything that you want, Danny or Kib?
Danny is like ignoring y'all and looking at the other, like the things that have come up to us.
You're paying attention to them?
Yep.
They inch closer to you.
So what do you guys like trade?
Sarah, because your true sight is active, the moment Danny starts speaking to these individuals, you see like not as powerful as a prayer, but just drops of that energy fly out of Danny and to them. And you can just see them. Oh, well, welcome, Mr. Celestia. It's wonderful to see material planers.
I have that effect on people sometimes.
Yes, you quite do. And the more Danny speaks, you're seeing more of that energy kind of fly to these 3 individuals. And the other 12 members of the Horde are now catching wind of what is happening and are shifting over in your direction.
He hates
Danny,
this.
I think you're making them high.
What? Are you guys getting high because I'm talking to you and you didn't give me any money?
They're getting but not only are they their countenance is changing, you can see that emaciated structure begin to fade and their skin becoming more flawless. There's a light glow forming around them. A couple of them are growing in height a little bit, as if not that you're necessarily making them high, as if you are feeding them for the first time in 500 years.
All right, I'm gonna turn around and ignore them now.
I am going.
You can use your media to like put things up without saying them, and then you can negotiate for them.
No, they're weird. I don't want to talk to them.
Hey, so
This is gonna have the opposite effect with me. Like, do I notice this happening?
Yeah, we're all.
It's pretty obvious for all of you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna take out my notepad and like start documenting this.
Okay.
And I'm going to actively narrate what I'm doing while I'm documenting it.
Okay.
So both a physical description and like conceptually kind of what I think is occurring. And I'm going to tell you, Sarah, I'm going to say, negotiate for at least one more bottle of ennui, please. Thank you.
And Dose at this point has reached into a golden chest and has placed a bag on the table and says, "This is quite an invaluable trade."
What is it?
I can't tell you that. I can only tell you of its value.
Supercat, what do you think?
Kid will reach down, open up the bag.
Super Cat says meow. Yep. But Super Cat telepathically says, smells like dinner.
Mm.
Dinner.
Okay.
Kid will
we'll
reach
take it.
down, open the bag. I want to see what's inside it.
Okay, you open the bag and you kind of look in the bag for a moment and there's just darkness, but you feel suddenly like a rustling within the bag, and a platinum lizard pops its head out, looks at you, jumps out of the bag, and then runs up the beach on a trail that's heading higher up the mountain.
Can I
Well, go
mage
get
hand
it.
it?
Go get it.
What the fuck?
Well, we did buy it, so I guess it's up to us to
Josh,
find
can
it.
I try to mage hand it?
It's very, very fast.
Yeah,
It gets
okay.
away pretty quick.
That bitch.
All right, yeah, we'll chase after it.
Okay.
And I'm not chasing after it. You guys can go after it.
So do Kiv and Ronan
Very
go after
fast, without-
the lizard?
We didn't
It
even
is a-
purchase.
it
We
is a
didn't
co-
even purchase that lizard yet. The deal's not done.
Dose is like,
No, I had said the deal was done.
yeah, you break it.
Heck, Sarah, what the hell?
You break it, you buy it.
Oh, God damn it, guys.
Well,
I'll
Super
help,
Cat sounds like dinner, and so I'm worried about feeding my cat. So of course we had to get it.
It's fascinating. A quadruped reptile with a platinum skin. I've never seen anything like, and just disappears into.
I'll help Ronan try to chase down the lizard.
Okay. Ronan, give me a religion check.
Okay. Yes. 9.
9. So in your scrawling and narrating, anybody, you were paying so close attention to the writing and the observation, you might not have noticed the movement. The 12 individuals did begin to encircle you as you were writing about them. And so when you go to move towards the platinum lizard, you find yourself surrounded by 7 or 8 foot tall, white robed individuals. And Sarah, you can see from every stroke of Ronan's pen, globules of that energy flying off into their mouths as they are feasting on what Ronan's doing, because Ronan, unbeknownst to himself, is writing a new scripture.
Oh, shit.
These
Hey,
people,
dork, will you cut it out?
Did
I'm
they try and block Ronan's exit from the group? Or
They don't try to block, but you can tell, and Kiv would be able to pick up on this easy. They are becoming fervent. The more you pay attention to them, the more you observe them, the more you pay homage to them. They are feeding on these acts of benediction. And
they all start to look like Ronan a little bit. Like
no, they're looking more like themselves, what they would have looked like when prayers and observation were flowing freely into this realm.
Yeah.
are these dead gods or dying gods?
Is that a question that Kiv asks, or is that a question that Sarani is asking me?
That's Kiv, I guess. If I
That's
noticed
so
all
cool.
this,
So immediately when you ask that, all 7 of the tents fly open, and the individuals within the brokers grow larger, and they start throwing out more of these devices. And then Dose says, I would highly recommend that you go. They're quite aware that you know their true essence now, and will feed on what you have left. And he holds out the orb that Sarah presented to him, and holds it up, and he says, going once to the highest bidder, and all 12 flow into Dose's tent as the other 7 brokers, growing in size, are throwing out as many objects as they can to distract the 12
we
gods. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh, hell
we run
yeah.
into the woods after the.
yeah.
Let's grab this lizard and go then.
So you're
Like-
following after tracks of the lizard. Whoever would like to
Yeah.
make a survival check to see if you can pick up on the lizard's tracks.
Wait, I might be good at that. Let me put one.
Let me
second.
explain
Survival
something.
plus 4.
Let me explain something to you guys about internet trolls. The more you feed them, worse they become.
Are you saying the D&D gods are like internet trolls?
I'm saying that's what my character thinks they're like. Danny's
Right,
like, they're
troll.
worshiping someone other than me? What the fuck?
Can I roll investigation instead of survival?
Yeah, but it would have a higher DC.
Okay. I would like
Survival.
to use my investigation to help Ronnie's survival.
Okay, go ahead and roll investigation, then I'll
I
add
will
it
do
to.
the same. Well, I'll do an investigation because I have plus 12 to investigation.
Okay.
So do I. So I will help Rob then.
I'm not great at survival, but I did roll a 16 on the dice, 17.
Adding with the addition of Ronan's investigation. Or Sarah, what did you roll?
I rolled a 16 plus 12, so that's a 20.
Okay, so it's Ronan and Sarah, like, your survival is keying them in on what to look for because there's a lot of distracting things here. Like you walk under a tree and there are just golden apples hanging off of the tree. They're immediately enticing you to eat them, but probably wouldn't digest well. There's like a spring of water running down to the beach, and you cannot argue with your senses that tells you that the spring of water is liquid diamond. Like everything in this space is gorgeous and beautiful and of the utmost purity and quality of essence, and everything is a distraction. But Kiv, you do pick up.
Make a sleight of.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Make a sleight of hand check to try to palm as many samples as I can, like while I'm running through the forest.
You don't need to make a sleight of hand check. Nobody's watching you.
As like, I'm not trying to lose any progress. I'm just like,
okay, yeah. So for that sense, go ahead and make a sleight of hand. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm taking stuff. I'm just taking stuff.
27.
Okay. So you can pocket a couple, like a golden apple. If you slam a vial down into the diamond water, you could get a vial of that. There are grain stalks that kind of brunch up onto the trail, and you can tell that the grain is like each one of the grains on these pieces of grain is a universe in itself of complexity and interest. There's a lot of stuff here that you can grab for that. And Danny, you grab similar things. But I
just want stuff that looks like money.
Oh yeah. So anything that's gold. So you get a couple gold apples.
Excellent.
Yeah. Kiv, you pick up on the tracks in the sand heading off the beach and onto a trail that seems to wind up onto a cliff, and then you kind of follow your vision, and that's heading further up onto the mountain, and the mountain is dotted with temples and old buildings and things along the way. So the lizard seems to be heading up the mountain that way. So you follow along with that.
Looking, if I glance over my shoulder, what's the town market kind of look like now?
So in the way that you get a sense now what the deities are trading for the benedictions, as each of those brokers, who are beings of pure magic, have grown to the size of 20 feet, as a rush has gone for the remaining benedictions, as they're absorbing the magic gifted by the deities. And there seems to be a fight breaking out over the pure prayer gem that Sarah created.
We got the 2 vials of ennui, though, right?
You have the 2 vials of ennui, and you have an empty bag for a lizard.
Okay.
All right. So you make your way off the beach, up the trail, and immediately the trail kind of closes in around you a little bit. There's overhangs and things. I need everyone to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, I was supposed to take my crystal sword. Anything in our way, I'm just like slicing out of the way with mine.
Yeah.
Nice.
23 strength. And a wisdom save?
Wisdom saving throw.
Jesus,
7.
man.
7.
Okay.
How wise am I?
Our internet is being so shitty.
Yeah.
An 8 on the dice.
Oh, no.
Oh, a 9.
A 9. Okay.
13.
13.
Sorry, we cut out a little bit. What do I need?
A wisdom saving throw, Ronan.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying our internet's being weird.
Yeah, internet's being strange.
It's our internet, I know for sure.
22.
22. Okay. Ronan's the only one that succeeded. Sarah, distinctly recall for me what you had for breakfast yesterday.
Some kind of like hot pocket.
Yeah, Fig Newton bar or something.
So thinking about food and thinking about what you're going to feed Super Cat later on, your brain immediately always goes to like your last previous meal. And so you recall yourself, going to the food cooker in your apartment, putting something into it, taking it out. There is a hole in your memory where the Hot Pocket was, and you have no idea what you ate for breakfast yesterday. Kiv, remind me of a nickname that you had in your early childhood when you were going through your first bout of training by the government.
A nickname? Mm-hmm. Probably with the other kids that were... Oh, with the government?
Yeah.
They would have probably called me... just K.
K. So it's strange because it's the first letter of your name. But you have a flash of memory from your childhood, as people are prone to do in moments. And someone says the nickname, but there's just a blank in the space where the words come out. Danny, what was the object that you received from the streaming organization when you hit 1 million subscribers?
It's a giant pause button.
Giant pause button.
Pause button plaque.
So you flashback a moment to your streaming setup, and you have that on a shelf. But in your brain, like when you turn around and look back there, there's just a blank space where that pause button is in your brain. But you guys tread forward and you make your way further up the hill. And as you kind of crest up around to kind of a cliff face that's overlooking the beach, there is a stone marble temple kind of in the brush off to the left-hand side. And then the path curves around that and then keeps going up the mountain behind it.
Where does the lizard go?
So based on the tracks that you're following, it does appear like the lizard may have jumped off into the temple.
Temple it is.
Okay. So who's leading the charge into the temple?
I will go first.
Okay, Ronan. You kind of charge up to the steps of the temple, and the moment your foot hits the steps leading up to the temple, what appears to be marble turns to dust, and your foot falls through, and you hit ground, and there's kind of like 6 inches of the marble around you, but your foot has caused it to turn to dust.
Did I want to activate my wing boots and pick Ronan up, fly him across the marble floor.
Okay.
And Danny is still flying, right?
Yeah, Danny's still
fly only lasts 10 minutes.
10 minutes, so it's probably been 10 minutes. Yeah. So you fly up, and you can fly into the entrance of the temple from there. You pass into the entrance, and it's a beautiful temple. But it seems like if you were to take a temple and imagine that it's a t-shirt, but you put it through a hot water wash and then dried it at a hot temperature, and it shrunk. Like everything seems too close together and too tight. That could not have been the intention of the builders of this temple.
I send Supercat in to see if it has dust, or if the dust thing happens with Supercat.
Okay. Supercat approaches the temple steps, puts a paw up, and the temple turns to dust at their touch from their paw.
What happens if I start writing and
Sorry,
what happens if I start writing and describing the temple in my notebook?
Okay, so floating there, Kiv holding you. Kiv, make a strength check just to make sure you maintain your hold on Ronan.
That's not going to be a problem.
Ronan takes out their journal and begins to write. First, outside the temple.
16.
Sarah and Danny. Okay, you can manage to maintain hold. Sarah and Danny, you start to notice writing as if like the marker over the temple entrance had shrunk in and all the writing was like smushed together, but it seems to be stretching out and writing is beginning to take form on the outer part of the temple. Kiv and Ronan from the inside, you can hear kind of this creaking and groaning as the temple itself seems to be enlarging a little bit.
Okay, I want to do this just a little enough to where I think that the temple is going to support my weight when I set down on it.
Okay, that's up to you. So how long do you write about this?
What are the words appearing?
What languages do you speak?
Sylvan.
Sarah and Danny can see it.
Common, Elven, Infernal, and Thieves can't.
Okay.
And Thieves can't. Yeah.
Ronan can't see it. The writing's on the outside of the temple. Danny, what languages do you speak?
I speak Common and Deep Speech.
So it is in a language that neither of you recognize.
Interesting.
Since you're in Celestia, you can imagine it's probably written in Celestial.
I speak Celestial.
You are inside the temple flying with Ronan.
I know.
So it's not what Ronan's writing.
No. It's the name of the temple is beginning to take form because the temple is increasing in size. It's unshrinking. How long do you spend writing, Ronan?
What scale is it at right now?
So you could, it's difficult to tell because you don't know how big it was to start with. But based on just like aesthetics, you think that the temple is probably 10% its normal size right now. And so the amount of time you've been writing, you feel like you got it up to like 12.
Okay, I'm gonna stop at a quarter.
So you're gonna write to get to 25%. That's going to take probably 30 minutes.
Oh, 5.
We can fly around a bit and see if we can get an aerial view of the little platinum lizard.
I will put my hand just above it and start praying again.
Who are you praying to?
The gods in general.
Okay, gods in general. Make a religion check just to make sure that Sarah knows prayer to certain gods who would call Celestia home.
Cocked. Religion. You think my religion would be better as a cleric? So that's 15.
15. Okay. So you make sure that you pray in general to gods of goodness and order, because as Celestia tends to honor. And as you're writing Ronan on the inside, there's just a moment where the prayers and the writing kind of coincide. And you see, it's not about the size of the temple that seems to matter to you. There's just suddenly like this shimmer of light that shoots across the marble floor, where before it had been matte finished and now it kind of gleams and shines. You think that the marble now probably has enough sustenance to allow someone to walk on it.
Great.
All right. Do you want to test it out, Ronan?
Okay, Supercat charges in, and Supercat is kind of walking around the inside of the temple while Ronan and Kiv are still floating in the middle of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna let the cat do what cats do best, which is hunt the lizard.
Okay, make a perception check.
I'll yell down, don't let him hurt the lizard. We paid good.
Well, Supercat will let me know
prayers
once they
for
catch
that.
it before they eat it. Supercat's perception is, could they use smell as part of their perception?
Yes, because Supercat did smell the lizard as if it was food.
Nat 20.
Wow.
Supercat rolled a nat 20. Okay. So Ronan and Kiv, as like Kiv is lowering Ronan to the ground, and it feels secure, you're not falling through it. You see Supercat dart into the temple and starts kind of jutting around some columns and is heading back towards the altar at the back, where as the prayer energy is kind of filling this up slightly like a helium balloon, you start to see a statue is like unfolding and rising out of the altar, like the altar is taking form. And just as Supercat leaps up onto the altar, you see a small platinum lizard fly off of the altar, hit the ground, and start to run back out of the temple.
I'll fly and try to block him.
You're trying to catch the lizard?
Leaving the temple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make this will be a contested or grapple check, basically. So you can roll athletics or acrobatics, and the lizard will roll athletics or acrobatics.
Hey, if he wants to. Pretty good at
That's cocky.
Pretty good
That's
at
cocky,
these.
Ronnie.
a 19 on the dice. I'm gonna do athletics, so plus 11.
It makes it so much funnier because this lizard is like 3 inches long, and you all just see this like very confident Kiv fly down to the lizard, and the lizard, who rolled a natural 20, 2 adds 14 to this roll. Like it's almost as it's like in instant transposition in Dragon Ball. Like the lizard just zoops out of the way and then darts out of the door towards where Sarah G and Danny are. Kiv, you hit the ground and kind of skid across the marble a little bit, and you catch sight of something out of the corner of your eye behind one of the pillars. I'll give you that, even though the lizard did escape from you. Sarah G, Danny, the lizard is charging out of the temple.
Get him!
I say, just let me do it, and I cast command on the lizard.
Okay. What is your saving throw? And it is a charisma saving throw, correct?
I think it's a wisdom save, actually.
A wisdom save. Hold on.
What is the lizard wisdom, Josh?
We'll see. I had
It has
one.
to be to 17.
Okay, wisdom saving
lizard.
throw. You want me to tell me what he adds to the roll?
What?
Is he wise and dexterous?
Yeah, it's 21 to this roll.
Are you kidding me? What the fuck is wrong with this lizard?
That's a 27.
Well, he
Damn.
succeeds.
Okay, the lizard.
I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, and you feel the power of the spell hit the lizard, and the lizard just kind of like jumps up in the air for a moment and then hits the ground and then keeps running further up the mountain.
Are you kidding me? What the hell did we buy?
I'm gonna still
I'll fly out.
I'm gonna.
You normally don't get that.
I'm gonna.
Oh, hold on.
Supercat would normally have caught it.
Rob, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just telling Danny that Supercat would normally have caught it if it was a normal lizard. So obviously, it's something quite impressive. And that's why we need to catch it.
I want to fly out after it and at full speed as fast as I can with a full movement dash, all that good stuff. And I'll just yell, "We just want to talk. We don't want to hurt you. We sort of did save you from those guys on the beach."
Okay.
Ronan
Make
is
a
narrating the entire time.
or make a persuasion.
Oh man,
Is of
Give me a
prodigious
strength
speed
check.
and
You're narrating what the lizard's doing. So as the lizard's running away, you also see that it's like it was 3 inches when it left the temple. By the time it's disappearing from view, it's probably 6 or 7 inches long.
Oh, fuck.
You're making Godzilla!
That's an 11 on the dice, so 12.
Okay. So I'm going to roll. The one thing broken about this creature right now is its intelligence. So I'm going to roll a die to see whether or not it can understand your speech. Do you want high or low?
We'll do high.
Okay. So you need to, he needs to roll a 15 or higher on this die to understand you, because where his intelligence is fallen right now. That is a 12. So he keeps darting. However, Kiv, you did see something else in the temple. Now that the temple has taken a little bit more structure and shape.
Oh, well, I thought that was him leaving the temple.
No. Like the lizard like darted out, but you with your like battlefield brain, you saw something out of the corner of your eye behind one of the pillars. That's like the pillar had kind of shifted because the temple's growing, and this creature like popped into existence right there behind the pillar.
How close am I to the temple? the pillar in the temple.
So you said you were about to head outside. So you've probably like 15.
Yeah.
You could just kind of turn around and come back since the lizard did dart out of your eyesight.
All right, I'll just try to take a quick look around the pillar and see
Okay.
what might be over there.
So you
Flying in sort of stealthily if I can.
you dart around the corner and you see a 5'5" tall little man, like a little guy.
Hello, sir. How are you? Who are you?
Questions. I do not know answers.
Okay, maybe you can help us. How long have you been here?
Both. But a moment.
Rare guys, isn't it?
Can I make an investigation check?
You walk over to where Kiv is.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Look this little man up and down.
maybe Sarah can come and pray with him or something, give him some juice.
Sarah's chasing after the lizard along with Supercat.
Okay, so Sarah and Supercat are heading up.
I'm going after the lizard too.
Okay, so Sarah, Danny, and Supercat are heading up. If you're using a full dash, you can maintain eyesight on the lizard. So we'll say for the first round of this time, you've maintained eyesight. The lizard's kind of turned around a corner and is heading further up the mountain. But meanwhile, back at the temple, Ronan, what was your investigation check?
It's 18.
An 18. So as you're kind of staring at this creature, one, it's like, it's just a guy, shaved head, intricate black tattoo work all over his body, naked, but 5 inches tall.
I chose the wrong way.
I'll nudge Ronan and just start praying or something, man. Just
I'll start doing a little, I guess, anthropological portrait in the book.
Okay. So as you are recording this individual, they slowly begin to grow in size. So as you're sketching them or writing information about them, they go from being 5 inches tall to probably about a foot tall. And their skin shifts from the kind of tannish brown that it was before, and it turns and shifts to this silvery blue. And so now it's like this silvery blue color. There's black tattoo work all over them. And once they hit about 12 feet, not 12 feet, 12 inches, you just hear suddenly a scream rip out of their throat. And they say, not a moment, eternity, all the time, forever and always.
okay, all right, calm down. Do you know your name?
No, I cannot know my name because I do not. And he kind of looks over at the altar. I do not know his name. And if thou not him, then there is no me.
Okay, write a little bit more, see what happens. We got to get this guy a little coherent.
All right, yeah. As he talks, I'm going to jot this down.
Okay. Eventually, like, he gets to 3 or 4 feet tall, and these small little wings pop out of his back. Where?
Okay, so who is he? And I point to the altar.
I do not know. I don't.
Right, man.
I do know that he is not here. He is further up, higher. I must go to him. Can you take me there?
Yes, certainly we can. I'm going to investigate the altar before we leave.
Okay. Go ahead and make an investigation on the altar. had not like fully formed. So you're kind of investigating a slightly deformed version of the altar.
I'll walk with
18
the little guy, kind of lead him along with Ronan closer to the altar.
So the altar is kind of like if you took a statue and it was actually a helium balloon and you started to deflate it and it had just kind of like crumpled in on itself a little bit. But you can get a kind of picture of the individual that this is depicting. Tall, slender but muscular, difficult to tell with facial features, but probably has a beard of some kind and is wearing some kind of armor. But the thing that catches you is that even in the deformed nature, that in the statue, they captured this idea of like silvery light coursing off the eyes and around the head. Like there's just like frozen in the stone, this energy kind of coming off of the statue's eyes.
If I describe this in my notebook, does it solidify a bit more?
It does take a little bit more shape, yeah.
Okay. Do I get any more clues out of that, or is it just kind of more of the same?
Yeah, the only thing that kind of pops up is that now, like as the chest comes up, he is holding in his hands a double-bladed axe, and the armor is intricately designed, and there is like depressions of tattoo work all over his bare arms.
They look like the tattoos on the little guy.
Very similar. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna try to catch up now.
Okay. So you and the little guy with his little wings start to head up the mountain. Meanwhile, Sarah and Danny, you're chasing after the lizard. The lizard turns a corner and you're dashing. Go ahead and make a investigation check just to make sure that when you come around the corner, you're able to catch sight of him.
Can I instead spend my time? I want to summon a fae to help us in our endeavors.
Sure, yeah.
All right, I summon a little fae, which I think to us looks like a little, like a chat avatar, like a little like fox avatar of some kind. It's like, I'm a fae spirit.
Okay, this little fae chat avatar appears.
It speeches in like the little speech balloons.
Yeah, like pops out of the phone like as a thought bubble, and then it takes form and appears. Yeah.
Thank you.
I rolled a 5, so a 17.
17. Okay.
But Super Cat would Super Cat get advantage because of the smell and?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Super Cat rolls a 14.
Okay. So you're able to keep appearance on the lizard, and you couldn't see it from the lower 2 tiers of the mountain that you were on, but coming around this corner, the foliage here shifts and changes. Instead of the verdant, like deciduous forest that was below, and the golden grass kind of waving, this section of the mountain takes on kind of almost like a tundra or a taiga type expanse. Suddenly you're crunching through pearlescent snow. It's not made of snow. It is literally crushed pearls, but it has the same kind of feeling of snow. And there's scrubby brushes with gorgeous red gemmed berries growing on them, and tall, enormously tall, straight, dark pine trees. And the smell immediately washes across you. And you can see further up the mountain in the direction that the lizard is running, a massive structure of black burnt pine, a sloped roof pointing up to the sky, gorgeous carvings coming off of the sides of it. And you catch a glimpse enough of the lizard running through the open doors of this immense mansion or hall or temple or whatever it is.
Okay, I use my rogue ability to dash as bonus action.
Okay.
And
Likewise.
I'm going to use my action to bamf Super Cat out of existence, and then bamf at the entrance to the temple.
Okay. So as you kind of clear the pine trees and you get a perfect view of the temple, it is a massive structure. You would probably think maybe mansion or something like that. It doesn't appear in the sense of temple structures like you've been taught to believe about temple structures. Like there's no gorgeous columning or ornamental carvings. There are, however, these off the thatched roofing, there's these carvings of wolves, 2 on either end, and they seem to be jumping out into the air off of the wooden structure, and dangling right in front of each of them from a chain is a depiction of the moon. You see around the outer portion of the kind of rectangular structure, you can tell that there's a large snake that's curved all around it, and right over the doors of the temple, the snake is eating its own tail. You can see carved into like a relief on the door frame, you see a tree that's growing up, and there's different levels of the tree, and there seems to be like at the bottom level a dragon at the roots among the branches. Yeah, you can make a religion check. There's a squirrel at the middle branches. There are different kind of creatures within the tree.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. You have read, I mean, like, religion is not something that is like super, like, people don't study it like the way they used to in Terminus. But you definitely have heard legends about Norse mythology. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the lizard did disappear inside of this, which now
Get him, Super Cat!
You can identify as a mead hall. Mm-hmm.
Get him, chat.
Okay.
I make the Fae go ahead of me.
Okay. So Supercat rushes in, Sarah comes in, a pixelated fox comes in after you. And every time the fox's feet touch the ground, it sounds like the sound of a like being given on a chat box. And then Danny kind of charging in after. Shortly after Danny, a small 3-foot tall silver man with black tattoos and the smallest little wings that you could possibly imagine charges after, followed by Kiv and Ronan running up the hill. This is Benny Hill theme music, I think, playing at this point. And you charge in. Yeah, Sarah, you are the first to kind of charge in after Supercat, and Supercat has skid to a halt in front of you, and you skid to a halt after Supercat. Because in front of you at the center of this mead hall is a throne, and upon that throne is a skeleton 15 feet tall.
I don't think religious thoughts.
You don't think religious thoughts. Looking around the chamber, there on either side of the throne, there is 2 immensely long tables, and there are golden goblets and golden saucers. The perfume of food still pours from here, but there's no food on the tables. There's a fireplace that is dead at the back. There's no fire roaring in it. And you can almost hear like the soft twinkling of music, but it's like you're hearing every 3rd or 4th note. Like the music is broken in the chamber. Eventually, Danny, you come in after.
This may not be the place to pick up souvenirs. And I start hunting the lizard.
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation check. As you're
not thinking religious thoughts.
As you're doing that, Kiv and Ronan, you make your way up, and the little. This is the first time, Danny, you see this little 3-foot tall naked man run past you, and he like jumps up onto the table and he's looking at the skeleton.
Who the hell is that?
Who the hell are you?
No. You're the one who is new to this party. You can't just ask me that.
You are new to this realm. You can't just ask me that.
Everyone is new. Everyone is new to this realm except. Okay, sure.
25.
You catch sight of something glimmering and golden kind of running across the end of the table, like weaving between goblets.
I head down one side of the table and have Supercat go down the other side.
Okay. So you get towards the end there. Danny, you anything else with the little guy?
I'll have my Fae can teleport 30 feet. So if it thinks it's close to there, I'll have it teleport over there.
So is everyone keeping an eye out for the lizard? As you guys are doing that.
Actually, can I make my Echo teleport down there as well to sort of like try to box him in.
We're just sending teleportations down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the fox is down at the end. The echo is down at the end. The lizard gets to the end, sees them, kind of skids around the table, leaps across to the other table, and starts to run up the other side, Sarah, right towards you.
Okay.
And if it's 10 feet of my Fae, it has to make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. That's a 32.
Well, cool. I hate this thing.
It's a wise little guy.
This dumbass
I kinda
lizard.
like
I don't
him.
know why we got it.
He's feisty.
Sarah, the bag that the lizard was in is shaking as it's approaching you.
Yeah, I hold the bag open and dive for it.
Okay, cool. So go ahead and make a either athletics or acrobatics check.
Okay.
And he has disadvantage to resist that. That's a 2. So that is it to be a
Rolled
15.
16, and athletics is +5, so 21.
Okay, so as the lizard is charging back up the table, you dive towards it, and it's almost as if like the bag itself kind of sucks the lizard in and cinches itself closed, and you can just feel the lizard shake for a moment and then quiet down.
I've got him!
Great.
Well done, Sarah.
Nice work.
While you were on the table where you dived, the goblets and the plates kind of went scattering in front of you, but as they kind of left the table, they shattered into a billion million pieces of dust and blew away in the wind of your body movement.
Hopefully no one's going to miss those.
Sorry.
Place is
Okay,
probably
so
just
we caught our lizard.
long forgotten.
Yeah, what's the little man doing?
He's just very weirdly staring up at the 15-foot statue or the skeleton on the throne.
Is
as
he
if he's like,
naked?
oh yeah, the
Phil?
little guy's naked. Yeah.
He's
Why
very
is he
naked.
naked?
We found him that way.
Why
Yeah,
are
I
you
don't know.
clothed?
Well, that's a great question, I suppose.
What does it
You
mean
seem
to
like
be
you-
naked?
Okay, little guy. You seem like you know this chamber. Do you know whose chamber this is? Who this chamber belongs to? Do you know anything about the skeleton that's sitting on the giant throne?
It feels quite familiar, but I'm not certain.
I would like to investigate the skeleton, but I want to try to not impart like whatever effect we've been having and everything around us is.
Okay. Go ahead and make
write
an
about
investigation
it.
check.
I'm not going to write about it, and I'm also going to examine it through a mirror.
Okay.
Like I'm going to pull a mirror out of my medicine bag, and I'm going to look at it indirectly.
Sure.
I'm going to head outside.
Okay, you walk outside.
Can I make a religion check on this guy too?
On the little
big
guy,
guy.
Or the big guy, you make a religion check, yeah. Ronnie, what are you doing
Rolled
in
a
space?
14, Josh.
I'm gonna hang out near the little guy, just keep my eye on him. But I'll yell back to Sarah, like maybe you can figure out the deal with that whole lizard.
Okay.
Why was he so valuable?
14. So looking at the skeleton, it is 15 feet tall. There is a horn in his hand, like a mead horn, not a bugle. His skeletal body is adorned in simple leather, but then there's platinum armor over it that is beautifully carved, and you recognize the carvings from the statue further down the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
His hair is long and braided with bone beads. His beard is braided. His eye sockets are hollow. And he's just sitting there. There's an axe kind of draped across his lap.
It looks like he has both his eyes. Neither of them look wounded in any way.
No. This is a skeleton, so his
It's a
eye sockets are
skeleton.
empty. Yeah.
But I'm saying like the bone around the socket isn't like damaged or anything.
No, it's not. Yeah.
I rolled a 24.
For religion.
Mm-hmm.
As you're focusing on him and you are paying attention to the religious nature of this entity, You all watch as just like motes of energy kind of fly off of Danny and go towards the skeleton. A few of them go towards the little guy, and the little guy starts to grow as well. And the little guy gets bigger, but you can kind of see light beginning to form in the sockets of the eyes of the skeleton. Like the energy is beating there for a moment. The little guy is now probably 7 feet tall, and his wings are growing at his back. And he lets out another scream, and he says, the forgetting is coming for each of you. It's coming for us. It's for me. It came for him.
How do we get out of here?
What is the forgetting?
The forgetting. When you stopped praying, when you stopped worshiping, the energy of this space fell, and within not more than a few hundred of your years, our great ones succumbed to the forgetting themselves, forgetting their purpose. And we, the servants of them, forgot ourselves. I still don't remember his name.
Ronan, you're gonna hear in your head, you hear Danny's voice. Danny's like, I mean, could be a powerful being that could get us out of here. What do you think? I think I have a beat on who it is.
How high up do we get the sense that there's another larger temple or domicile away from here, or are we close to the top?
So it's difficult to tell with the mountain because the mountain seems to be impossibly tall. But the last time you were out, like you've only come up like 3 tiers of the mountain. But the last time you were able to look out off the mountain at the sea was a mile below you. Okay. Like you've traveled up this mountain immensely. And so you get the sense that like there's probably more above you, but how much more could there be?
I'm just wondering if the 12 gods were from Anavir.
No, those gods didn't have human shapes. Those were the Olympians.
What else is around us in this temple? Is there anything else?
It's just the hall that's prepared for a delicious meal, but with no food. The fireplace built for an immense roaring fire. There in front of the fire is a giant cauldron that is giving off this honey sweet smell, but is dry and desiccated and empty.
Say it.
I feel if we put the energy into this to wake this individual up, they may be hungry. So perhaps we should solidify the temple a bit first so they're on our side before we put some effort into awakening them.
If we're thinking about awakening this thing, back on the beach, those guys did warn us that we would be swarmed by those beings down there. Who's to say this guy won't want to keep us here so he can feed off our prayers?
Well, my thing is, we need to find these tethers and possibly plane shift in some kind of way. I think a god would be the best thing to help with that. Maybe. Be something powerful. They would certainly owe us a favor, right? I feel like that's how that works.
I mean, if it got us home, I'd be fine thinking about him once a day. I feel like that's a fair trade.
Oh, I mean, that's a little much for me, but sure.
Okay, once a week, say Sunday.
Sarah, from outside, you can feel an energy building within the temple as there's this conversation occurring on the inside.
Something's happening.
The runes on the temple begin to glow golden. Each of the statues, which are just wood, are suddenly capped in golden, like a golden cover. the wooden posts at the end become golden as the three of you are talking. And Kiv, you notice that starting at the back of this mead hall, the plates begin to fill with food and the cups begin to fill with some kind of liquid. There's a small ember of fire beginning to take form in the back fireplace.
On our way out of the previous temple, did I happen to look back and see the name that was forming on the outside of the temple, the words that were being formed?
Yeah, it would have been easy enough for you to do that.
Okay. And what would that have said?
So
I do understand Celestial for some reason. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. So what you see is that this one would have, let's see, which of his temples would have this been? Oh, okay. So this one would have been an order to warfare.
Ooh.
So like in Celestial, it has a more beautiful name, but translated into common, this temple was honoring a god of war that is honorable and well fought.
Okay. All right. Could be useful against Vecna, but
You let us know that.
yes.
And
And that will kind of go into the maybe finding the identity of the little blue guy with the wings.
I was going to say, step outside of this temple and tell me if you see anything on that tells us who this is.
Sure.
Also, as the food has been placed and the fire is beginning to grow and the mead cauldron is being filled, the little blue guy is now probably 12 feet tall. And his wings are resplendent and golden, but he's still just staring at the statue or the skeleton before you. Sarah, you see Kiv walk out of the temple, kind of investigating.
You're
So
kind of
I'll look around and see if there's any
whatever
other.
y'all are doing.
Well, I mean, what else are we supposed to do? Investigate this weird ass island?
I think us just being here is going to feed some of our energy into these beings. I think it's kind of
take the
inevitable.
Top of the bag and tie it so that the opening can only get so big and very small, and I open it and I start trying to talk to the lizard.
Okay. The lizard, let's see how he's doing on intelligence. So he isn't moving or fighting, but it doesn't seem to be having an effect on his size. His intelligence is still marred enough that he can't comprehend what you're saying to him.
I just start talking to him like I talk to Super Cat.
Sure. He's calm. He doesn't react. He's not trying to escape from the hold that you have for him. Kiv, you look at the mead hall, and it's a hall for the peace, the hall of a peace before warfare, in service of the god Tyr.
Of course, I let the others know what the runes say.
Can I make a religion check, see what I know about Tyr?
Absolutely. The moment you say his name out loud,
Oh no! Yeah.
the little guy who's now 12 feet tall, his wings explode. A halo lights above him, and he kind of lands down. And he says, "Tyr, revered father, God of justice. Thank you.
So,
My name is Alteriel. I am in service to Tyr. This is him. Can you bring him back?"
What turn will you do us if we bring him back?
There's very little that I can do for you, but Tyr is a god of order and justice. One of the good. One of the great.
we need one of those. We need.
I just
As many of
rolled
those we can
a
find.
nat 20 on my religion check to
Yeah. What Alteriel is saying to you reads, Tyr is one of the more honorable gods in the Norse pantheon. He's revered for his view of justice and lawful goodness. He is a god of war, but he's a god of just conflict. He's a god of the formalities of war, not being brutish or destructive, fighting in the good ways for the right ways. You know that his mead hall would normally be filled with the spirits of honorable dead soldiers, but there haven't been for so long that they've faded off into someplace else. And without his retinue around to keep him whole, that justice and integrity has faded away and has left nothing but a skeletal remain.
Okay, two ideas. First, I feel like this is definitely someone who we should have on our side against Vecna. Second, if his mead hall is filled with just soldiers, is there anyone? I feel like there would be someone I would have met.
No! So normally the mead hall would be filled with just soldiers, but the connection between Celestia and the Prime Plane has been severed for so long that the retinue that were here have long since vanished, and there have not been an influx of new members.
Gotcha. Okay. I think I'll page the group. I'll be like, or poll the group. I'll be like, so I think we should bring him back. I don't think anything negative can immediately come of this that wouldn't help us in the long term.
I agree. I think he'd be helpful. Maybe getting out of here and also against Vecna. So,
all right, let me work the deal with. Let me work the deal with this cohort.
Alterial kind of kneels down and looks at you, Danny. The thing that Tyr loves more than anything else is the celebration of a victory. He kind of looks around at the mead and the food and the fire roaring. The hall is quite quiet from where it normally is.
I think we can improve upon that. But, if the thing he likes most is victory, we may need him for a fight at some point.
If it is a just fight, I can imagine he would be on your side.
All right. I start with my big brain. I start thinking about food and mead and all kinds of things.
Okay. The food around you begins to populate. The cups around you are overflowing with mead. You're having an effect on the hall. You're not having too much of an effect with your thoughts on Tyr.
Sure. With my nat 20 religion check.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume this is like this was like a Dead Religions of the World class that I took in medical school or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
I am going to actually walk up to the skeleton and give him a micro lecture.
Okay.
On who Tyr was and very very factual about Tyr.
Okay. This effect that you're having is the chamber itself. The dark wood gains more gold accents. The food is now overflowing on the plates. The mead is overflowing in the cups. Tyr himself is still the same.
Sierra jumps up on the thing with Supercat. And
Well, Ronnie, what were you doing? And then we'll do Rob.
So Kib is going to sit down at the table, grab a thing of mead, break off a big turkey leg, and just start eating. Okay, perfect. Rob, what were you doing?
I put Supercat up in front of one of the things of meat and let him tear into it.
Uh-huh.
I start doing the same thing, and I ask Kib to tell us about fights he's been in that he's won.
Okay.
To regale us with stories.
Yeah. Kib will immediately go into showing scars that he's got and fights. Started out as the smallest kid, but how he just bulked up and just demolished all the other kids in the training camp as he was coming up. Just really leaning into it.
Alterial kind of leans down to you, Ronan, and hands you a mug of mead. Tyr always needed a cupbearer. Would you like to do the honors?
Who does he say that to?
Ronan.
Yeah, I will.
He hands you the cup, and the only thing that Tyr has that would hold alcohol is the horn in his hands.
Yeah. And I make another religion check to see if like there's anything I know about like which side to pour from, or
with your natural
something.
20 religion, weirdly you paid a lot of attention in the Norse part of mythology, like you're a standard white dude, and so you know that it doesn't matter as long as the mead is filled. It doesn't even matter if it spills.
Then yeah, I will fill the horn, the drinking horn.
What I need from all of you is a collective either charisma or wisdom roll.
I feel like we're the charisma group. Like something tells me we're.
Each of you can roll whatever you want to roll of those two skills. Mm-hmm.
So mine are pretty close. So
is this a save or just a flat roll?
Just a standard roll with your modifier. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
26.
26.
Ooh, okay.
21.
21.
19. 18 plus 1.
We need literally a 7 to beat the DC.
I got a 9.
So
Close with her.
with Danny kind of doing Danny's
the last
normal
minute and almost spilled the cup.
Are you streaming this also, Danny?
I don't know. This is like weird religious shit. So
Okay.
I don't stream shit unless they pay me.
Okay.
This is to serve.
I am. So I will say, Josh, when I'm not streaming, I am like collecting video for my vlog later.
Okay, so you kind of got your drone is going and recording
he
video.
Is collecting video.
With Sarah and Supercat digging into the food, Kiv recounting his schoolyard brawls, Ronan pouring the mead into Tyr's cup. There's an explosion of energy from the throne as this golden light flares off of the throne, and it itself turns into a solid platinum gold structure. And as the vision clears, you see before you a tall man, immense, like this is the first god that you've ever seen who's not desiccated and emaciated, and also in the wrong place, because most of the Olympians do not exist in this realm. So the 12 of them being on the beach here, they should have been somewhere else. This is Tyr's home. This is where Tyr finds his energy. He is both a mountain and also a man. He is both boundless and potential energy and also understandable. And you see the tan skin, the bluish black tattoos of immense complexity going up his arms. Next to him, Alteriel's tattoos have now burned golden and are shimmering in light, his wings capped with silver, his halo glowing brightly. The braids on Tyr are gleaming with energy. There's dragon bone beads that are shimmering in the light. And he takes a giant, bless you, he takes a giant sip of the mead, the golden honey mead running down his chin, and he leans forward to each of you. Needless to say, I didn't think that it would take another human to bring me back again. It's been quite a while since any of you have graced my mead hall. Welcome.
Well, technically, I'm only
Welcome
half
back.
elven. I'm half elven too, but you know, it's nice to meet you, sir.
Absolutely. What brings you all to Celestia after so long? Is that godforsaken dome of yours gone now?
We are apparently
Who wants to tell
untethered
him?
from our plane.
What do you say, Rob?
I said, who wants to tell him?
Oh, okay.
I'll get into Vecna and like what has happened and what we were trying to stop and how we got waylaid.
The moment you mentioned somebody trying to pierce the thing, he kind of releases, and you feel this pulse of energy rip out, immensely powerful in all directions. Huh. He wasn't quite able to pierce it. He's not among the gods yet. Or we would
Good thing.
know.
That's a very good thing.
And you are untethered.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Yes.
difficult. The gods of Celestia have been put under a curse of chaos called the Forgetting. We need to get the Lord awake. He would be able to potentially bind you back, or at least provide you a way to bind.
Who's the Lord?
Okay. Where do we find the Lord? Yeah.
Who's the Lord? He must not be whole. I do not know his name.
But he would be
Yeah, where
on
he is?
this island.
He would be at the top.
Do you remember anything
Make our way
else
to the
about going up there? Any danger?
There should not be much danger on Celestia. As long as you are good and kind-natured and are here to serve justice and the order, then nothing here will fight against you.
Danny feels a little uncomfortable when he says that.
do we notice that?
I can roll deception to see if
You
you
can roll
notice it.
deception.
Sure.
Insight.
I only got an 18. I rolled really shitty. Lying to a god is not my.
I
got a
noticed.
22.
Danny, as this language is coming out, and
Yeah, my passive is 22.
yeah,
So.
as he's saying this to everybody, in your head at the same time, you hear those of chaos are able to walk Celestia comfortably for a time. Make smart choices, or the land itself might reject you.
Thank you.
Now, if we can bring back the Lord, he may be able to help you. Most of the other gods of Celestia either have turned to nothing or dust, or escaped themselves to the outer limits. Why do I know what that is? Does that mean
It was
anything
like
to
Nick,
you?
your TV show from the 50s.
Oh,
I don't
We-
think that's what he
we
meant.
don't have
but-
television here. Does outer
Yeah,
limits mean
Shane.
anything to you?
Does it?
Yes, is that where we were before? Right.
No, that you're the astral sea.
Oh. Does it mean anything to us? Yeah,
All of you can make a
there's-
history check. You need to beat a
What?
23.
A 23.
Oh, I don't
history.
have any.
Wow.
This is the first
No.
time you've heard it said in context. So if you have a 23, each time it shows up in context, the DC will go down.
There's no way I can get a 23.
I can
Oh,
only get a
man.
nat 20. So.
If you roll a nat 20, you might as well take a shot. Kiv, you could roll a nat 20.
No, I
rolled
have a plus 0
I rolled
in history.
a 1.
Wow, I rolled badly.
I rolled an 11, so
Sarah, do you?
I rolled a 15.
Okay. So the first time you hear this term, it will pop up again later on. And the DC will be lower because you'll have heard it again in a different context. He says, well, the only way to bring back the Lord is to go back to his temple. Shall we head that direction?
absolutely. I do have a question.
Yes.
What do you know about small platinum lizards?
I was about to ask.
Very agile, spunky, a lot of sass.
What's in this bag?
I don't think they're native to this land.
Hmm.
Platinum lizards, no.
How about
We
the
can kinda
and
send
I
out a
described
special-
the salespeople on the beach, just out of curiosity.
Interlopers.
So they're just here to take advantage of the situation.
How
that-
far off the waterline were they?
Right next to it.
That's about as
Yeah.
far as they could probably safely travel.
Huh. So maybe we wouldn't have been as safe with them as I thought. But okay, that's useful. Thank you.
Well, to the Lord's Palace then we shall go. It has been quite a while since I've done this, so the journey might be slightly bumpy. And he releases his hands from the grip on his blade, and this golden energy flies out, hits all of you, and when it clears, you're standing in the most gorgeous, beautiful field of wildflowers, waving in the wind. You are no less than 5 miles above the ocean that stretches out in all directions below you. The warm golden light that is effusive in this space is shining, not as it had been before from all directions. You are in the shining here. This is the center of Celestia, and above the wildflower plain, just kind of gently floating, you see an ancient temple. It is kind of marble white in construction, odd carvings on it. There's some draconic writing, but it's floating there in the space. And Tyr kind of looks at it. As much as I revere him, I cannot enter the temple myself. But to properly return a lord, what did you learn by bringing me back?
To go through the rituals, follow the observations, pour you mead, celebrate you in song.
So, the things that act as good worship for me, you need to figure out what good worship for him looks like. But he will be able to help you.
No, like sacrifices or anything like that, right? No,
Not on this plane.
Blood rituals.
You may find that in
Great.
other places.
Okay, great. Just checking. Tyr,
All I know is
it
that
was an honor.
Oh, well, final
Sorry,
warning for you. Some of you, perhaps more than others, and he doesn't glance at Danny when he says it, but it is definitely in Danny's direction. The one thing above all else that he holds is purity. It will be tested. Do not lie. Do not try to deceive. But otherwise, you should find success there.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And Tyr vanishes and returns to his mead hall.
Shit. I'm so fucked.
No, you
Okay,
can do that. I mean, think
That's
about
very
it.
concerning.
Think about some of your apologies. Because there's that shred of honesty in them, they're very effective, so you just have to do the same thing.
What
Yeah.
part is the shred of honesty that you're perceiving?
That
How do I
you're wanting
get
to
rid
make
of
things
that?
better.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean,
Danny,
you want to get out of here, so
you
you want
gotta-
things to get better, so you want this god to come back. That's true.
I
You need to be
respect
anchored, so-
I respect your glass half full perspective. Just let me be at the back and not talk to anyone.
Keep your thoughts pure. Just think about praying to.
I
whoever
just
this
turn
little
on
guy is.
music. I turn on loud music so I don't have a thought, not a thought in this head.
All right.
And by the way,
go ahead.
thank you, Ace, for glass half full, because that is one of Sarah's tenets in their backstory.
Oh,
Nice.
incredible.
As you guys are sitting here, the temple's gently floating over this. It's like the top of the mountain was cut off, and the temple is actually the peak of the mountain, but the angles of the temple kind of go up towards a peak, and it's just floating above and gently rotating around this space.
How do
You
we
don't
get up to
see
it?
an entrance, and it's floating about 50 feet in the air. You could try to fly up to it, but that's not all of you.
Could you go up and drop a rope?
It's a long way to climb.
I'm gonna try to look for like an invisible pathway like we encountered before. Like I'm gonna
Like
take
we're
some
at
water
the.
out of my canteen
way
and
station.
start like throwing it. Like yeah, like it, I'll just roll investigation.
Okay, roll investigation. As you're throwing water out, the wildflowers like bloom and release clouds of seeds that spread out. And the moment they hit the ground, more wildflowers immediately sprout up and blossom in that exact space.
Are they blossoming higher and higher as if to form footsteps?
No, they're all about still the same size. Yeah.
I tried.
Okay. That would be a 22.
22. You don't find any unique like hidden staircase or pathway or elevator or anything that heads up there. But you do locate a set of obelisks. 4 of them. 3 of them are, oh no, sorry, 5. 4 of them are marred beyond recognition, but one has writing on it that you can read. Does anyone here speak Draconic?
No.
Does anyone here
Not
speak
one of my-
Celestial? Because that's on the other side of the obelisk.
So Kid
I'd
does,
speak
right?
Celestial.
Yeah, kid does.
Okay, Kiv. What you see is entrance is given to those who give a piece of honesty.
A piece of honesty. And I translate for the group. So I guess you have to tell your truth.
Do you think the other obelisk is dishonesty?
It might. I'm concerned it might take us somewhere we don't want to go.
Well, he is all about truth, so it's probably this one.
I go up to one of the obelisks that's broken, put my hands on it, and say, I have a debt I can never repay, but I try to live up to it every day.
A beam of light kind of comes off the obelisk and shoots up and hits the bottom part of the temple.
Okay, I got mine!
Damn it.
You have to be honest out loud.
I'm going to go to one and I'm going to say, I love my daughter.
A beam of
have a
light shoots
daughter?
up
Oh,
and
sorry.
hits the temple.
I don't remember what my. I will go touch Touch the-
daughter.
obelisk, and I'll say, my truth is, I'm still seeking revenge on the people that wronged me as a child.
A beam of energy rises from the obelisk and strikes the bottom of the temple.
Do you think
All right, Danny.
I have to
You got
say
this.
something?
I don't know if you have to say it out loud. Just try thinking it. Just
We didn't have to say it out loud.
Be
That's-
honest.
I go
don't
up to
know
the
that you think-
I go up to it and I'm like, I would rather be anywhere else doing any other thing than being here right now.
The energy does not rise.
Fuck. I don't know if I could do this, guys.
Come on, dude.
Whisper it so we don't have to hear.
Wait. That should work.
I don't think I could do this.
It has to have
Yeah.
it has to have intent, I
Yeah.
feel.
Mhm.
Whisper the thing. We don't have to hear it. So you can be honest. You can turn your cameras off. Or put a filter on them.
The only reason I'm still here is I think it might be profitable.
A beam of energy rises and strikes the bottom of the temple.
Danny like shrugs at all of you.
The temple
Steps
kind of stops and descends the 100, 200 feet that it was floating above and gently lands in the center of the flower field, and a staircase appears that leads up to the main entrance.
It comes to you. That's customer service right there. All right.
Bound up
All
the
right,
stairs.
you bound up the stairs. As you enter in, what you see in the chamber, it is a central. There's one central chamber of this temple. The temple disappears like railroad tracks disappearing into the horizon above you as you enter in. The impossibly long and tall angular that goes up to the center. It's a circular structure. It didn't look like that from the outside, but that's the interior. And there's a gorgeous mosaic on the ground that seems to be divided up into 4 zones. And over the top of each of these zones, there is writing in every language that you could possibly imagine. So if you read multiple languages, you're reading this in all of those languages at once. Around the far zone from the entrance on the left, it says choose purity. On the zone to the right of that, it says give of yourself. To the right of that, it says seek justice. And then to the right of that, it says provide for the lost. The moment all of you read the provide for the lost portion, you see two small golden figures appear at the center of that section of the room. And you see a small reproduction of Alterial. You see a small reproduction of Tyr in his statue form from the first temple that you went to. They settle at the center of that chamber, and there's an explosion of golden energy as that side of the room fills with a mound of platinum and gemstones and goblets and gold that rivals the size of every bank in Terminus. Just that section of this chamber. At each of the other sections that are unopened, you see 7 skeletal dragons filling the empty space of the rest of the chamber. Sorry, not 7. That would be 5 skeletal dragons filling the chamber of the remaining 3 sections of this chamber.
I go over to the purity section.
Okay, what do you do?
Is there anything on the floor in the mosaic or anything like that?
So the mosaic is just a reproduction of Celestia, but like as if seen from the sky down. So at the center of this chamber is a reproduction of this temple. And then the mountain spreads out beyond that. And then the surrounding woodlands and forestlands. And then beyond that, on the edges of this chamber is the silver ocean that wraps around Celestia. So this is just kind of a depiction of the from the space, like if you were seeing it from the top down. But in this section of the chamber, there is one of these skeletal worms, and it's like curled up. And it does seem to be like curled up in such a way that you could put something in its paws or in its claws, like right under its nose. But you don't see anything that you would put into that.
Can I make an investigation check to see if the lizard...
I'm going to help.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Natural 19 plus 12.
Okay.
So 31.
The moment you stepped foot into this temple, the bag was kind of rumbling.
Okay, here goes nothing. And I open the bag and reach in and pull out the lizard.
Okay.
Keeping a firm grip on it.
You present the lizard, and immediately in this section, you're in the choose purity section. The gleaming platinum scales on the lizard begin to glow and transform and change and shift. And it's no longer platinum colored. You can tell that the scales on this lizard are platinum themselves. But it doesn't seem to have an effect yet on this section of the room.
What are the other sections?
Choose purity, give of yourself, and seek justice.
I go to give of yourself, and I put the lizard down.
Okay. The lizard scurries around your feet.
Okay, not what I was expecting.
There's two dragons on this side, and they're both they're skeletal, but they're both in that depiction of like their claws coming around as if they were holding something, and their snouts are resting like they're as if they're supposed to be holding something.
What else is in the room?
Nothing but these dragons and the pile of gold and gems and stuff that just appeared on the other side.
If we go to the pile of gems and things, is there anything that is the correct shape and size to fit in the dragon's hands?
All of you can make an intelligence check.
I assume we might have to manifest the items, or let's see.
It's not gonna pop out.
Dirty 20.
I got a 12.
Dirty 20, you know that stealing from that pile in order to feed any of these other chambers would probably be against the tenets of the deity of this temple.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't touch that.
And you think that the give of yourself is probably the easiest for you to translate. Tenets of gods that typically speak about giving of yourself, it's about giving something that's meaningful to you to someone else to make their lives better in some way. And in this case, like if that means giving a tithe or giving a something important of yours to the worship of that deity. The other ones provide for the lost was clearly providing for Tyr and providing for arterial. Choose purity and seek justice are a little bit harder to translate, but give of yourself definitely. It means that you have to make a sacrifice of some kind.
I'll walk over to give of
Ask
yourself.
if there's going to be a sacrifice.
Okay, Ronan.
And I'm going to reach into my med bag, and I will take out my stethoscope that I've had since med school.
Okay. It's not a magical item, it's just a personal item.
Right.
Okay.
But it has great personal significance.
Okay.
And I'll reverently place it. I assume there's an altar in there.
No. It's just the way that the dragon's claws are resting, it's like they were holding something. Mm-hmm.
I'll place it in there.
Okay, so one of the two dragons in this section is now holding the stethoscope. And the moment you go to place it, a platinum bowl forms in the hands of the dragon, and you set the stethoscope inside of it. There's still one other dragon in this section.
I don't really carry too many things on me. I will
Put my defibrillator bag.
With your defibrillator?
Yep. My defibrillator. I put it in the other one.
Your defibrillator goes in, the platinum bowl forms. Immediately, the dragons turn into a wave of platinums and gems and goblets. Both of the items that you placed vanish in a cloud, and there's a mound of platinum and gems that forms here. The lizard, which is now out of the bag, goes from being a 7-inch lizard to being a 2-foot lizard.
I think we found our Lord. We just have to keep giving. I go over to the purity.
Yep, choose purity is over there. Mm-hmm.
I would like to make a religion check.
Sure. There's only one. There's only one dragon in this section.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's some way I can
demonstrate purity.
Yeah. I'll just make a religion check. Oh, there we go. That's a natural 20. So 22.
So typically when you think about gods who demand purity from their followers, it's about cleansing yourself of a sin of your past. That can be through making up for a past sin. That can mean confession and seeking, purification in that sense. It could mean forgiveness to somebody who had wronged you. Seeking purity is about choosing a pure path of living and letting go of the ills and harms of existence.
What's the other one that's
Seek justice? That's where Danny went over to. He's like, this is the only thing I could relate to.
Yeah, and there's one of the dragons is over here, but it's hard for you. Like you're not exactly it's hard for you to sense like what you would do in this section.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell Sarah to go help Danny out.
Okay.
And try to be by myself by the Seek Purity dragon.
Sure. What were you doing, Ronnie?
Can I also investigate the Seek Justice?
Yeah, I think me and Kate were posted up over there while you guys are doing.
You can make an investigation check there. Okay, Ronan. So you're alone at Seek Purity or choose Purity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to.
I need too much to.
It's gonna be totally coming from the heart from Ronan, but not loud enough for anyone in the hall to overhear.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say that the last 8 years, I have held a grudge against the mother of my daughter for not allowing us to be a family. And I have to come to terms with the fact that this wasn't part of her life. This wasn't something she was looking for. And it was wrong of me to want to put that upon her. And I know that now. And I just want her and all of us to find our own way to be happy, even if it means we're not together.
All right. As you say that, if forgiveness could manifest in a physical form, what would it look like coming from Ronan?
He looks, it's not something coming from him. He just looks a little lighter.
Okay.
Like he's been, this whole time he's been walking as though like he's had a 10-pound weight pushing down on his head.
So
like
as
he stands a little straighter.
As you speak, this cloud of guilt and anger and frustration and rage begins to seep and pour out of you. You don't notice it, but anybody glancing back would just see this seething cloud pouring off of Ronan. And as the last mote of forgiveness comes out, that cloud coalesces and locks itself into a perfect onyx gemstone. And it descends down and is clutched by the dragon there. And it quickly turns into a wave of platinum that piles up against the walls of this chamber. And the lizard, now scurries up onto the platinum here around the chamber. And as it moves, it grows and expands and grows until eventually its neck begins to elongate. These small wings sprout across its back that grow and grow and grow until a lizard is not a lizard in front of you, but a dragon that is a juvenile dragon, that is an adult dragon, that is an ancient dragon, that is a primordial dragon, that is a dragon the size of 7 mountains and 10 universes, but also filling this chamber and gleaming with pure platinum energy. As before you, anyone who studied religion would know, sits the Lord of Celestia, Bahamut, the Platinum Lord and King. His head curls down towards you as you're standing at Seek Justice.
I'm sorry we chased you.
You led me into my home in the right direction. You were doing a good favor, and a kind one at that.
Yeah, but I had my cat hunting you.
Some things need to be returned to their right order, and in my experience, cats are quite good at either chaos or order.
Super Cat is a very good cat.
You all have not finished the ritual, which means there's something that you need from me.
Did the Justice one get...
Nope, Seek Justice is still, the skeletal remains of the dragon is still there, and the horde is incomplete.
Yeah, that whole show with Ronan's character kind of distracted Kiv in his investigation. He rolled super low.
Mm-hmm. Is there something that you visit the Temple of Bahamut for?
I will get into the details about Vecna.
Okay.
And the justice we're trying to mete out.
Good. He says, I alone do not have the power to retether all of you. But somewhere within my hoard probably rests an item that may tether at least one. but I feel as if it's in this portion. And he's looking again at the empty seek justice portion. I sense in each of you a history of injustices, either of your own making or those done to you. Could I give you the opportunity to right a wrong that you did not have the strength to right alone? Could you seek justice now when you could not before?
Yes.
He's kind of
Sarah
looking to
walks
each of you.
into it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So think for a moment, and we're going to take 5 minutes. And I know it's weird at the end of the day to take 5. But we're going to take 5 minutes, and we're going to come back for the last 10 minutes. And I want each of you to think what would be a moment of injustice that you've experienced in your character's past that you would like to present to the group, to choose one of them in this moment to be given the opportunity to set right. So we'll take 5 and then come back to that.
Thank you, 5.
Thank
Thank you, 5.
Thank you, 5.
That's fine. All right. So Bahamut has kind of leaned down, is looking at each of you, and it says, you have a chance here to right a wrong you did not have the strength to right alone. What moment of great injustice where you were unable to provide the succor that right demanded? Where can I send you to use a second chance wisely? What did you guys think of?
Well, I guess I'll explain my origin of my abilities. Whereas a child, I was taken from my family and captured by some corporation, experimented on, and the only reason why I can create an echo is because of the experimentations that this corporation subjected me to, and the other children that were there. Eventually we were freed by the government when they found out about the corporate experimentation, but some of the kids didn't make it. They couldn't handle the testing. It's always been something that sort of haunted me.
So you would go back to save the kids?
Absolutely. But I don't know if time travel's in our purview here.
You are quite untethered from both time and space right now. Magic can always happen.
Chronomancy!
The greatest
The
magic.
greatest magic of all kind.
What's the greatest magic? Friendship? No, it's chronomancy.
No.
All right. Ronan, what would be your
The time machine.
injustice?
I was young and hot-headed, and someone slighted me, and instead of simply resolving it like a mature adult, I challenged him to a duel.
Yeah, man, bro.
And I killed him. And it's something I've thought about since then. It is why I went to medical school. Because after mortally wounding this man, there was nothing I could do to take it back. And I've thought about that every day.
Sarah, what would you write if given the chance?
Well, I was an orphan. I never knew my parents. That's why my last name is G. It's not a foreign name. It's because I always used to, when people would ask me about who my parents were, I'd say they were good people. So the G kind of stands for good people, because I don't know. But anyway, I grew up in an orphanage, and it was in the lower part of town. As you can imagine, it's kind of a rough life, and I knew many people who did not make it out. But I did okay in school, and there was one teacher, Mr. Almos, who actually took me under his wing and kind of mentored me, and he was trying to get me to go to college, and we were walking, and he got hit by a driver and a hit and run, and he died, and I wasn't able to save him, and that's why I became a paramedic. So I can save people.
Mine is hard to talk about. But one time, this woman cut me in line at the Panera Bread. It took so much effort to say it with a straight
No one else sees it except for you, Danny. For everyone else, Bahamut is maintaining his glorious posture. But Danny, the next thing you see is like looking you straight in the eyes, like muzzle on Bahamut. This is not a place for flippancy. This temple is one of purity and honor.
I use my telepathic skill to tell it to him privately.
Okay. What do you tell him?
I'm gonna text it to you.
Okay. So as a group, then, Bahamut, I only have the power to right one wrong now. I'm diminished. Which of these three would you like to right?
I would give everything to bring Mr. Almost back, but Kier has children that he can save.
Much as I'd want to, thinking honestly, what would be the simplest mission to complete? We can stop a hit and run a lot easier than we can track down a major corporation that was powerful enough to.
You have a god
Dodge
here
the
who's
government.
offering magic and time that can right a wrong. He didn't say there was any limitations on it. We can save one person for me. We can save one person for Ronan. No offense, Ronan. But we could save multiple children with yours.
I would also pick yours, Kiv.
I'll pick Kiv too.
And the moment you say it, this golden light, like smoke, but light, pours out of Bahamut's nostrils and hits the ground and begins to circle around you like smoke, and then rise up and fill the chamber. And as the light grows and grows, your vision of this place shifts and changes and moves. And then suddenly it clears. And each of you find yourself in a probably 100 stories below the surface of Terminus chamber. There are walls of monitors, running wires of lines connecting things, the sound of beeping machinery, computers running code. You are at a cross here of meeting chambers, and Kiv, you immediately recognize walking these halls years ago as a child. and you are in the R&D department of a now defunct corporation that was shut down by the government long ago. And when they shut that down, they discovered you here and the empty cells of the children that did not survive the work that you experienced. You're looking, and all of you recognize the technology here is about 30 years previous to where you were accustomed to in Terminus proper. And you hear just down one of the hallways the sound of crying. And you know you have a moment in time here to save children. But Kiv, you also know that you are one of those children, and if you choose to save yourself, then your story here will end. And that's where we'll pick up next week.
Oh my god, crazy. Crazy.
Dark, man.
You're crazy, girl. You're crazy, girl.
Crazy.
You're so crazy.
This is a great thing about a one-off adventure, though. I get to like exposition dump at any and every opportunity.
That's the point. And I hope you guys like the way, like, it's like I had you write backstories, but you're not even in Terminus. But this is how we're interacting with Terminus and your backstories.
I love it. It's so cool.
And I like that Ace is not telling everybody.
It like, I knew.
Well, if any god's not going to be abused with Danny, it's Bahamut.
Exactly. Danny's like, I'm fucked, actually. You guys are mostly fine here, honestly. And Danny's like completely fucked over by this temple.
Yeah.
No, we're just like, haha, goof. And Danny's like, oh, shit.
I know, I'm like, yeah, the only thing I can do here is justice. That's it. And you know what? He does hate that woman at the Panera Bread.
Yeah, like,
that's just
I am still mad about that Panera Bread.
It's not a matter of truth, it's a matter of scale.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's just like, God. Who did she think she was?
Yeah, Ronan's thing is like, Ronan's thing would ultimately come down to, well, he did agree to a duel. Like, he could have also backed out at any given point.
Yeah, and Sarah growing up in an orphanage, the other children.
Yeah.
As much as she would give anything to get back, we're talking multiple lives and children.
Yep.
And that's a no-brainer.
Just for you as players, because this is you're playing high-level characters that you haven't had a lot of time to. There is a chance to do this mission for Kiv without any kind of combat taking place. We do have 2 rogues in the party, so that could definitely help. However, you may want to review your combat mechanics of your character and things. Even if the case of here, because you don't know what, like, I'm looking at the realms that you could potentially end up in after you leave Celestia, and several of them are probably places where there would be more fighting, like, I don't know, Avernus. So
Avernus is probably on that.
I have 12. I narrowed it down to
no combat here today.
I narrowed it down to 12 of the realms, but so you might want to review before next session, just so you can familiarize yourself, choose your spells, all that kind of stuff. And also as a final little thing, you are all children. You have all of the abilities and skills of your level 15 character, but you're now all children in this.
We haven't even a gear, or is it strictly?
No, you have all your abilities, you have all your gear, but because we moved backwards in time, you're all matched to Kiv's age. So he was probably 9 or 10 at this point. So you're all 9 or 10-year-olds.
Best cosplay ever.
Insane.
And Ace, yes, it's Sarah G choosing after all this crap that's happened to her to be glass half full is a deliberate choice.
And you nailed it because I got it.
Thank you for picking up on that.
Oh, I got it. Don't worry. I got your number, Rob.
All right, good night.
Ronnie, what does your shirt say?
Oh, I love that shirt.